She sat in her usual corner of the coffee shop, the same spot she'd been coming to for 3 years now. Her laptop was covered in stickers from various tech conferences, and her phone case had a crack running down the side that she'd been meaning to fix for months. But honestly, it still worked fine, so why bother? Her best friend since college walked in, and she couldn't help but notice the designer handbag first. It was one of those bags that cost more than most people's monthly rent, the kind with the logo everyone recognized. Her friend's heels clicked against the floor, announcing her arrival before she even reached the table. "Oh my God, sorry I'm late," her friend said, air kissing both her cheeks. Traffic was absolutely insane. "You know how it is," she nodded, even though she'd taken the bus here like she always did. Her 10-year-old sedan was parked at home because, well, why waste gas and parking fees when public transport worked just fine? They'd been best friends since freshman year of college. Late-night study sessions, sharing instant ramen when money was tight, supporting each other through breakups and family drama. They'd promised to always have each other's backs, no matter what. But things had changed about 2 years ago when her friend married into serious money. Her husband came from old wealth, the kind of family that had buildings named after them. And slowly, so slowly she almost didn't notice at first, their friendship started shifting. "So, I have to tell you about this new car," her friend said, pulling out her phone to show pictures. "It's a Mercedes, the latest model. Derek surprised me with it last week. Can you believe it? I mean, I wasn't even hinting about wanting a new car, but he just knew." She smiled and made the appropriate excited sounds, genuinely trying to be happy for her friend. "That's amazing. I'm happy for you. Thanks. You know, you should really think about upgrading your car soon. I saw it last week when I drove by your place, and honestly, I worry about you driving that thing. Is it even safe anymore?" The comment stung a little, but she brushed it off. Her car ran perfectly fine. She'd just had it serviced last month, and the mechanic said it could easily go another 5 years with proper maintenance. What her friend didn't know, what nobody really knew, was that she could have bought 10 Mercedes in cash if she wanted to. Her tech startup, the one she'd been building quietly for the past 4 years, was doing incredibly well. More than well, actually. Last quarter's revenue had hit numbers she'd only dreamed about when she first started. But she'd learned something important from her mentor, a self-made millionaire who'd built his fortune from nothing. He'd told her once over coffee just like this, "Real wealth doesn't need to announce itself. The people who are truly secure in their money don't feel the need to prove it to anyone." So she kept living in her modest one-bedroom apartment. She kept shopping at thrift stores, finding amazing deals on clothes that looked just as good as the expensive stuff. She kept driving her reliable old car. And she'd been building a 7-figure investment account that nobody knew about. The money was there, sitting quietly in various accounts and investments, growing steadily. But she didn't need it to define her. She didn't need people treating her differently because of it. "You know what else?" her friend continued, scrolling through more photos. "We're thinking about buying a vacation home in the Hamptons. Derek's family has one, but we want our own space. Something more modern. I'll send you pictures once we start looking." "That sounds great," she said, taking a sip of her regular coffee. Not the fancy $15 specialty drink her friend had ordered, just regular black coffee. Her friend glanced at her cup and then at her worn sneakers, the ones she'd bought on sale 2 years ago. They were comfortable, broken in perfectly. Why would she replace them when they still worked? "Hey, so I've been meaning to talk to you about something," her friend said, her voice taking on that tone. That careful, pitying tone that had been appearing more and more lately. "I know things have been tough for you financially. You know, with your little business and everything. And I just want you to know that Derek and I are here for you if you ever need help." She felt her stomach tighten. Her little business had just been approached by 3 major companies interested in acquisition. Her little business was on track to generate over $5 million in revenue this year. "I appreciate that," she said carefully. "But I'm doing fine, really." "No, I know. You're so independent, and I love that about you. But seriously, there's no shame in accepting help. We could even help you with rent if things get tight. Or Derek could probably find you a position at his company. It would be more stable than trying to make this startup thing work." She took a deep breath. This wasn't the first time her friend had made comments like this. Over the past year, they'd become more frequent. Little remarks about her clothes, suggestions about getting a real job, offers to help out financially. Last month, her friend had even suggested she could give her some of her old designer clothes. "I'm cleaning out my closet anyway, and I thought you might want them. They're still in great condition, and I know you can't afford this kind of stuff right now." She'd politely declined, but the offer had bothered her for days afterward. The truth was, she was probably making more money than her friend's husband. Her investment portfolio was diversified and growing. She owned stock in several successful companies. She'd even been approached about speaking at major tech conferences. But she kept all of that quiet. She'd seen what happened to people when money changed them. She'd watched college friends come into wealth and slowly lose themselves in it. The constant need to upgrade, to show off, to prove their worth through their possessions, that wasn't who she wanted to be. "You know what?" her friend said, leaning forward conspiratorially. "There's this charity event next month. Really exclusive. All of Derek's business associates will be there. I could probably get you in for free. It might be good networking for you, help you find some investors or something for your business." She almost laughed. She didn't need investors. She'd bootstrapped her entire company from savings and smart business decisions. She owned 100% of her company, answered to no one, and had complete control over her vision. "That's really kind of you," she said, "but I think I'll be okay." Her friend's expression flickered with something she couldn't quite read. "Disappointment? Frustration? You're so stubborn sometimes," her friend said with a laugh that didn't quite reach her eyes. "I'm just trying to help. You don't have to be so proud." Proud. That word bothered her. She wasn't being proud. She was being private. There was a difference. They finished their coffee, talking about safer topics. Her friend's upcoming vacation to Europe, the new restaurant that had opened downtown. The weather, but something had shifted. She could feel it. The friendship that had once been easy and natural now felt forced. Every conversation was laced with these underlying assumptions about her financial situation. Every interaction came with a side of pity she didn't need or want. As they said goodbye on the street, her friend hugged her tight. "Seriously, call me if you need anything." "Anything at all. We're here for you." She walked to the bus stop, her mind spinning. She pulled out her phone and checked her investment app, something she did maybe once a week. The numbers stared back at her, solid and reassuring. She could have called a car service. She could have bought a new phone. She could have shown up next week wearing designer clothes and expensive jewelry, but what would that prove? That she could spend money? That she needed external validation? Her mentor's words came back to her again. The quietest person in the room is often the most powerful. Don't confuse spending with wealth. Don't confuse showing off with success. She'd built something real, something sustainable, something that would last. And if her oldest friend couldn't see her value without seeing her bank account, well, maybe that said more about the friendship than she wanted to admit. The bus pulled up, and she climbed aboard, finding a seat by the window. Outside, the city rushed by, full of people chasing different versions of success. She knew what hers looked like, and it didn't require anyone else's approval. The invitation came in the mail, fancy cardstock with gold lettering. A charity gala, black tie. Her friend's name was printed at the bottom as one of the event organizers. She stared at it for a long moment, sitting at her kitchen table. Part of her wanted to throw it away. Their friendship had been deteriorating for months now, each coffee meetup more uncomfortable than the last. But another part of her, the part that remembered late nights, studying together and sharing dreams over cheap pizza, wanted to believe things could get better. She decided to go. Finding something to wear was easy. She had a simple black dress from a consignment shop that she'd bought last year. Classic cut, elegant lines, nothing flashy. It had cost her $30, and she'd gotten at least a dozen compliments every time she wore it. She paired it with simple jewelry and the one pair of nice heels she owned. The venue was stunning. One of those historic hotels downtown with crystal chandeliers and marble floors. She could hear the string quartet playing as she walked in, clutching her small purse. Her friend spotted her immediately and rushed over. But something was off about her smile. It was too bright, too forced. "Oh my God, you actually came," she said, giving her a quick hug. "I wasn't sure you'd be able to make it." The ticket was like $500, but don't worry, I got yours comped. I told them you were my guest and explained your situation. Her situation. Those words hung in the air between them. Thank you, she managed to say, even though something twisted in her stomach. She didn't need a comp ticket. She could have bought every ticket in this room if she wanted to. Come on, let me introduce you to some people, her friend said, grabbing her arm. What happened next was something she'd replay in her mind for weeks afterward. Her friend led her to a group of women in designer gowns, dripping in diamonds and expensive perfume. Ladies, this is my friend from college. We go way back. She's been going through a tough time financially, but I'm trying to help her get back on her feet. The words hit her like a slap. The women's eyes swept over her, taking in her simple dress, her minimal jewelry, her modest appearance. She could see the pity forming in their expressions. That's so sweet of you, one woman said to her friend. It's important to help those less fortunate. She was standing there with more money in her investment accounts than probably everyone in this circle combined, and they were talking about her like she was a charity case. What do you do, dear? Another woman asked her, the kind of question that wasn't really interested in the answer. I run a tech startup, she said simply. Oh, how ambitious, the first woman said in that tone that really meant, how cute that you're trying. My nephew tried one of those once. It's so difficult to make those work. Most of them fail, you know, her friend jumped in quickly. She's been working so hard on it. I keep telling her that Derek could probably find her something stable at his company, but you know how stubborn entrepreneurs can be. They all laughed like it was charming, like she was a child refusing to give up on a fantasy. She stood there, smiling politely while they talked around her, about their vacations to the south of France, about their personal shoppers, about the difficulty of finding good help these days. Every few minutes, her friend would throw in a comment about her, about how she was struggling but staying positive, about how inspiring it was that she kept trying despite the odds. She excused herself to get a drink, needing a moment alone. At the bar, she ordered water, not trusting herself to drink anything stronger while she was feeling like this. Rough night? She turned to see an older gentleman in an expensive suit, someone who looked vaguely familiar. Then she recognized him. He was on the board of one of the companies that had approached her about acquisition. They'd had a video call just last week. You could say that, she admitted. He smiled knowingly. I thought that was you. You look different than you do on video calls. More relaxed somehow. They chatted for a few minutes about business, about the tech industry, about market trends. It was the first real conversation she'd had all evening. If you don't mind me asking, he said, why are you here? No offense, but this crowd doesn't really seem like your scene. A friend invited me, she said, or someone I thought was a friend. He nodded, understanding more than she'd said. Been there. Made my first million before I turned 30, but I still drove the same truck I'd had since college. Lost a lot of friends who couldn't see past the truck to who I actually was. Before she could respond, her friend appeared at her elbow. There you are. I've been looking everywhere for you. Come on. They're about to start the auction. She excused herself from the conversation and followed her friend back into the main ballroom. But her friend didn't lead her to her table. Instead, she pulled her aside into a quiet corner. Listen, I need to talk to you about something, her friend said, her voice dropping low. It's a little awkward, but we're friends, so I can be honest with you, right? She nodded, unsure where this was going. The thing is, these events, they're really for a certain type of person. Derek's business associates, our social circle, you know? And I love that you came, I really do, but I just think maybe it's not really your scene? Like, you must feel so out of place here, right? Everyone talking about things you can't relate to. Wearing clothes that cost more than your rent, probably. Each word was a knife, but her friend kept going. I'm just thinking about you, you know? It might be better if you didn't come to these things anymore. I don't want you to feel uncomfortable. Plus, honestly, some of Derek's colleagues were asking questions, and I had to explain that you're going through a difficult time, and it was just awkward. For both of us. She stood there, frozen. This was her best friend. The person she'd trusted with her secrets, her fears, her dreams. The person who'd held her hand through her mother's illness. Who'd celebrated every small victory with her, And now that person was telling her she wasn't good enough to be seen in public with her. "I understand," she heard herself say. Her voice sounded calm, distant, like it was coming from someone else. "Thanks for clarifying that." "Oh, good. I knew you'd understand." Her friend hugged her quickly. "You're always so reasonable. This is why we're such good friends. You just get it." She stayed for another hour, mainly because leaving early would have been too obvious. She smiled. She made small talk. She played the part, but inside, something had broken. Or maybe something had finally become clear. When she finally left, walking out into the cool night air, she felt lighter somehow, like she'd been carrying something heavy and had finally set it down. She pulled out her phone and ordered a car service, something she rarely did. But tonight she didn't want to wait for the bus. She wanted to go home, take off this dress, and make some decisions. Over the next few days, her friend texted several times. Casual messages about brunch plans, funny memes, the usual stuff. She responded politely but briefly. When her friend called to invite her to a lunch next week, she said she was busy. It wasn't a lie. She was always busy with work. Her friend seemed relieved, actually. Like she'd been worried about having to include her in things and was happy to have an excuse not to. The texts became less frequent. Then they stopped altogether. She threw herself into work. Her business was at a crucial point. 3 major companies were interested in acquisition, and the numbers they were throwing around were staggering. More than she'd ever imagined when she started this journey. She also made another decision. For years, she'd been investing carefully, building wealth quietly. She'd been so focused on security, on making sure she never had to worry about money again, that she hadn't really enjoyed any of it. She'd been looking at boats for the past year. Not seriously, just browsing. Something about being on the water appealed to her. The peace of it, the freedom. There was one yacht in particular that kept catching her eye. 75 feet. Beautiful lines, more than she needed, definitely. But something about it called to her. She scheduled a viewing. Standing on the deck, feeling the gentle rock of the water beneath her feet, she made up her mind. This wasn't about showing off. This wasn't about proving anything to anyone. This was about her, about finally enjoying the fruits of her labor, about living the life she'd worked so hard to build. She signed the papers that afternoon. The yacht needed some customization, some work done before delivery. It would take about 6 months. Perfect timing, really. Her business acquisition would be finalized by then. She'd have clarity about her next chapter. She named it before the paperwork was even complete. Silent success. A reminder of everything she'd built in the quiet moments. Without fanfare, without needing anyone's approval. Meanwhile, her former friend posted on social media about cutting out negative energy and outgrowing people who don't match your vibe. She saw it. Everyone saw it. And she knew it was about her. She didn't respond. Didn't engage. Just kept moving forward. Some chapters had to close so new ones could begin. 6 months passed, like water flowing under a bridge. Quiet months, productive months, healing months. Her business acquisition had gone through smoothly. $50 million. The number still felt unreal sometimes, even though she'd watched. It'd appear in her account, had seen the contract signed and notarized. She'd built something from nothing, and someone had valued it enough to pay what she'd asked. She kept some equity in the company, stayed on as an advisor, but mostly, she was free. Free to figure out what came next, free to breathe. The yacht was ready. After months of customization and preparation, silent success was being delivered to the harbor. It was a beautiful spring morning when she got the call that it was arriving. She drove to the marina in her same old car, wearing jeans and a comfortable sweater. No fanfare, no announcement, just her, going to receive something she'd earned. But apparently the local news had other ideas. A reporter and camera crew were at the marina. They'd been doing a story on young entrepreneurs in the city, and someone had tipped them off about the yacht delivery. She tried to wave them off, but the reporter was persistent. "Just a few questions," the reporter said with that eager smile they all had. "Our viewers would love to hear your story." She almost said no. Privacy had been her shield for so long. But something made her pause. Maybe it was time to stop hiding. Not to show off, but to own her success. To stop acting like her achievements were something to be embarrassed about. "Okay," she heard herself say. "Just a few questions." They filmed. The yacht arriving. This massive, beautiful vessel gliding into the harbor. She had to admit, it was stunning. Worth every penny. The reporter asked about her business, how she'd started, what motivated her. She answered honestly but simply. Talked about bootstrapping her company from savings. About the long nights and the risks and the moments she'd almost given up. About staying true to her vision even when everyone said it wouldn't work. "And you maintained a modest lifestyle throughout?" the reporter asked, glancing at her casual clothes, her practical car in the background. "I did," she said. "Success isn't about showing off. It's about building something sustainable, something real. I wanted financial security, not just the appearance of it." The interview lasted maybe 15 minutes. She forgot about it almost immediately, too focused on walking through her new yacht, checking every detail, making sure everything was exactly as she'd specified. It was perfect. The cabin was elegant but comfortable. The deck had space for entertaining or just sitting alone with a book and the sound of the water. This was hers, truly hers, earned through her own hard work and smart decisions. That evening, the news segment aired. She didn't watch it, but apparently a lot of people did. Her phone started buzzing around 8 p.m. Messages from old college friends she hadn't heard from in years, former colleagues, business contacts, everyone congratulating her, asking questions, wanting to reconnect. And then, at 9:30, her phone lit up with a name she hadn't seen in months, her former best friend. The first message was casual. "OMG, I just saw you on the news. Why didn't you tell me?" Then another. "I can't believe you bought a yacht. That's so amazing." Then another. "We need to catch up. It's been too long." She stared at the messages, feeling nothing at first. Then something like sadness. Not for herself, but for what their friendship had become. She didn't respond. Not yet. She needed time to think. Over the next few days, the messages kept coming. Her former friend's tone shifted from excited to confused to slightly desperate. "Hey, I know you're probably super busy with everything, but we should really meet up. I miss you. My phone has been acting so weird lately. I'm worried I missed your messages. Did you text me back? Seriously, call me. We have so much to catch up on." She finally sent a simple reply. "I've been busy. Thanks for the messages." That should have been the end of it. But her former friend wasn't taking the hint. 3 days after the news segment aired, she was at the marina doing the final walkthrough of the yacht. She'd invited a few close friends, the real ones who'd supported her through everything, to come for the christening ceremony that afternoon. She was checking the sound system when she heard a familiar voice calling her name. Her heart sank. Her former friend was pushing through the small crowd that had gathered, wearing designer everything, sunglasses perched on her head, a huge smile plastered on her face. "There you are!" she squealed, rushing forward for a hug that she barely returned. "I've been trying to reach you. Why didn't you tell me about all this?" Everyone was watching. Her real friends looked confused, glancing between them, picking up on the tension even if they didn't understand it. "It all happened pretty fast," she said carefully, stepping back from the hug. "I can't believe you kept this from me," her former friend said, but she was laughing like it was all a joke. "Your best friend! I had to find out from the news like everyone else." Best friend. The words felt wrong, misplaced. "I need to finish getting ready for the ceremony," she said. "We can talk later." But her former friend followed her onto the yacht, still talking. "This is absolutely incredible. I was just telling Derek about it. He's so impressed. We should all go out together sometime. Take the yacht out, have dinner, like old times." Like old times. When was the last time they'd actually had a good time together? Before the pity? Before the condescension? The ceremony was small but meaningful. She'd invited about 20 people. Her mentor, the one who'd taught her about quiet wealth, gave a short speech that made her tear up. Her team from the company, the ones who'd believed in her vision. A few childhood friends who'd known her before any of this. Her former friend inserted herself into everything, standing next to her in photos, laughing loudly at jokes, making sure everyone knew they were best friends from college. After the ceremony, as people mingled and enjoyed champagne, her former friend cornered her near the back of the yacht. "So listen," she said, her voice dropping to that confidential tone. "I'm so glad we reconnected. I've actually been meaning to talk to you about something. Derek's business is looking for investors, and I immediately thought of you." There it was, the real reason for all the messages, all the enthusiasm. "We're looking to expand into the tech sector," her former friend continued, pulling out her phone to show her some kind of presentation. "And with your background, you'd be perfect. Plus, we could write it off as a partnership between friends, you know? Keep it all in the family." She looked at the phone, at the numbers that didn't quite add up, at the business plan that had more holes than Swiss cheese. "I'm not really looking for new investments right now," she said. "Oh, don't decide yet. Just think about it. Actually, I had another idea, too. What if we started a yacht club? Like for professional women. We could do networking events, bring in speakers. You'd be the face of it since you have this amazing yacht, and I could handle all the organizing and social media. We'd make such a great team." Everything was suddenly clear. The sudden interest, the flood of messages, the showing up unannounced. None of it was about their friendship. It was about what she could provide now, what she could do for her former friend. "I need to get back to my guests," she said, moving to walk away. Her former friend grabbed her arm. "Wait, come on. Why are you being so cold? I'm trying to help you here. These are great opportunities." "Help me?" The words came out sharper than she intended. "Yeah, I mean, you've got this money now, but you need to be smart about it. You need the right connections, the right social circle. Let me introduce you to the right people. We can elevate your brand, get you into the right rooms." She pulled her arm free. "I need to go." "Fine. Be that way," her former friend said, her smile finally cracking. "But don't forget who was there for you when you had nothing. I was your friend when you were nobody. That should count for something." When she was nobody. The words hung in the air like poison. She walked away without responding, rejoining her real friends on the deck. They asked if she was okay. She nodded, forcing a smile, not wanting to ruin the day. But her former friend wasn't done. She stayed for another hour, mingling, networking with the other guests, handing out business cards, talking loudly about her best friend's amazing success story. When she finally left, one of her real friends came up to her. "Who was that?" "Someone I used to know," she said. And it was true. The person she'd been friends with in college, that person was gone. Or maybe that person had never really existed. Maybe she'd just been too young, too trusting, to see the truth. That night, alone on her yacht for the first time, she sat on the deck and looked out at the water. The city lights reflected on the surface, dancing and shimmering. Her phone buzzed. Another message from her former friend. "I'm sorry if I came on too strong today. I just got so excited. Let's do lunch this week and talk properly. My treat." She read it twice, then set her phone down. Tomorrow, she'd figure out how to respond. Tonight, she just wanted to sit here, in this space she'd created, in this life she'd built, and feel proud of herself. She'd done this. All of this. On her own terms, in her own way, and that was worth more than any friendship built on false pretenses could ever be. She spent 2 days thinking about what to do. 2 days of her former friend texting her constantly, sending links to investment opportunities, tagging her in social media posts about reconnecting with old friends, acting like nothing had ever gone wrong between them. On the 3rd day, she made a decision. She sent a message. "Want to meet on the yacht? We can talk privately." The response came back in seconds. "Yes, when? I'm free all day." They agreed on 2 p.m. She spent the morning preparing, not physically, but mentally. She knew this conversation was necessary. Not for closure, really. She'd already closed that chapter. But for clarity, for honesty, for saying the things that needed to be said. Her former friend arrived exactly on time, which was unusual for her. She was dressed like she was going to a photo shoot, designer sundress, expensive sandals, perfect makeup. She had her phone out before she even stepped onto the yacht. "Wait, let me get a picture of us," she said, reaching for a selfie. "This lighting is perfect. No photos," she said firmly. "We need to talk." Something in her tone must have registered because her former friend put her phone away, though she looked confused. "Okay, sure. What's going on?" They sat in the main cabin, facing each other across the polished table. Through the windows, she could see the water, calm and clear. "I want to talk about our friendship," she began. "Oh, good." "Me too!" Her former friend leaned forward eagerly. "I've been thinking about all the amazing things we could do together now that you're, successful." "I made a whole list of I need you to listen," she interrupted. "Really listen. Can you do that?" Her former friend sat back, looking slightly offended, but nodded. She took a breath. This was harder than she thought it would be. "Do you remember when we first met? Freshman year, that terrible dorm room with the heater that never worked?" "Of course. We were so broke," her former friend laughed. "Living on ramen and cheap coffee." "We were," she agreed. "And we were there for each other. Through everything. Bad grades, worse boyfriends, family problems. We had each other's backs." "Exactly. That's what I've been saying. We go way back." "But something changed," she continued. "About 2 years ago, after you got married." Her former friend's smile faltered slightly. "What do you mean?" "You started treating me differently." At first it was subtle. Small comments about my car, my clothes, my apartment. Then it got worse. You started offering to help me financially, suggesting I needed a real job, introducing me to your friends as someone you were helping get back on their feet. "I was just trying to help," her former friend protested. "You were struggling with your startup, and I wanted to support you." "I was never struggling," she said quietly. "My business was doing well. Really well. I just chose to live modestly because that's what made sense to me. But you assumed because I wasn't spending money like you were, I must be poor. And instead of asking me about it, you just decided I needed your pity." Her former friend opened her mouth to argue, then closed it. "Do you remember the charity gala?" she asked. "Of course. That was a great night. For you, maybe. You told everyone there that I was your charity case. You introduced me as someone going through financial difficulties. You told me to my face that I shouldn't come to those kinds of events anymore because I didn't fit in." "I didn't mean it like that," her former friend said, but her voice was uncertain now. "I was just trying to protect you. Those people can be judgmental, and you thought I wasn't good enough to be seen with you," she finished. "You were embarrassed of me, of my simple dress, my old shoes, my modest lifestyle. You decided I was beneath you and your new social circle. That's not fair," her former friend said, her voice rising. "I invited you. I got you a free ticket. I tried to include you. You got me a comped ticket because you assumed I couldn't afford one," she said. "But I could have bought every ticket in that room. I had more money in my investment accounts than probably everyone there combined. But you never asked. You just assumed." Her former friend stared at her, speechless. "And then after months of not hearing from you, after I stopped responding to your texts and you seemed relieved to not have to include me in things, suddenly I'm on the news. Suddenly you're texting me nonstop, showing up unannounced, calling yourself my best friend again. Why do you think that is?" "Because I was excited for you," her former friend said, but it sounded weak even to her. "Be honest," she said. "Please, after everything, at least be honest with me." There was a long silence. She could see her former friend struggling with something, emotions flickering across her face. Pride, defensiveness, and maybe, just maybe, a hint of shame. "Fine," her former friend finally said. "Yes, I saw an opportunity. Derek's business really is looking for investors, and when I saw that you'd sold your company for $50 million, I thought it could be good for both of us. And yes, the yacht club idea could be lucrative, but that doesn't mean I don't care about you. We can be friends and business partners, but we're not friends," she said softly. "Not anymore. Maybe we haven't been for a long time. That's ridiculous. Of course we're friends. Friends don't pity each other. Friends don't treat each other like they're less than. Friends don't only reach out when they want something. I was there when you had nothing. Her former friend snapped, finally showing real emotion. I was your friend when you were nobody. When you didn't have all this. She gestured around the yacht. That should count for something. When I was nobody, she repeated. That's the problem right there. You think I was nobody because I didn't have money to show off. You think I'm somebody now because I bought a yacht and made the news. But I'm the same person I always was. I had value before the money and I have value after it. The only thing that changed was your perception of me. Her former friend stood up abruptly. This is crazy. You're being so sensitive. I made a few jokes, so what? Everyone makes jokes. You're acting like I committed some crime. You didn't commit a crime, she agreed, staying seated, staying calm. You just showed me who you really are. And more importantly, you showed me what you think friendship is. It's not about being there for each other anymore. It's about what we can do for each other, what networking opportunities we can provide, what social status we can offer. So what, you're just cutting me off? After everything we've been through? I'm not cutting you off out of anger, she said. I'm letting go because this friendship isn't healthy. It's not real. It hasn't been real for a long time. You wanted a friend you could feel superior to, someone you could help and fix. And when I didn't fit that role anymore, you wanted a friend you could use for connections and opportunities. Wow, her former friend said bitterly. Success really changed you. You think you're so much better than everyone now? No, she said tiredly. I think I'm exactly who I've always been. I just stopped pretending that this friendship was something it wasn't. Her former friend grabbed her purse, her face flushed with anger. You know what? Fine, I don't need this. I don't need you. I have plenty of real friends who actually appreciate me. I hope you do, she said sincerely. I really do hope you have people in your life who see your value, but I also hope you learn to see other people's value, even when they're not useful to you. This is unbelievable. You're unbelievable. Her former friend headed toward the door, then turned back. You'll regret this. When you're sitting on this boat all alone with no real friends, you'll remember that I was the one who was always there for you. I have real friends, she said quietly. They were at the christening ceremony. They've been supporting me all along. You just didn't notice them because they weren't wearing designer labels or driving luxury cars. Her former friend left without another word, her heels clicking angrily against the deck as she stormed off the yacht. She sat there for a long time after she was gone, watching the water through the windows. She felt sad, but also relieved, like she'd been carrying something heavy and had finally set it down. Her phone buzzed, a text from one of her real friends, the one who'd been with her since the beginning. Want to grab dinner tonight? Nothing fancy, just that taco place we love? She smiled and typed back. Yes, perfect. Later that evening, as she locked up the yacht and headed to her car, she thought about everything that had happened. She'd lost a friend, but maybe she'd gained something more important: clarity, self-respect, the understanding that her worth wasn't tied to other people's opinions of her. She'd built this life on her own terms. The yacht, the business success, all of it had come from staying true to herself, from making decisions based on what she valued rather than what others expected. And that was worth more than any friendship built on false pretenses. A few weeks later, she took the yacht out for the first time, just her and her real friends. They didn't dress up. They brought pizza and cheap wine. They laughed until their stomachs hurt and watched the sunset paint the sky in shades of orange and pink. One friend raised her plastic cup. To success that doesn't need to shout. To knowing your worth, another added. To real friends, a third said. She raised her cup too. To all of that, and to new beginnings. They clinked their cups together, plastic against plastic, and she realized something important. She wasn't alone on this boat. She was surrounded by people who'd valued her before the money, who'd support her after it, who saw her for who she really was, and that made her richer than any bank account ever could.